It was but a fateful national holiday afternoon on a Thursday when it happened. Summer Game Fest. And I didn't watch it. You see, I wouldn't trust Jeff Keighley with my life, much less my free time when I was enjoying a nice chill barbecue with the boys when we were welcoming back one of our dudes who was finally returning home from a long trip. So yeah, I kind of forgot about Summer Game Fest. I'll be honest, I don't regret it. I realized it was happening a little after it started, and at that time I was, again, enjoying a barbecue with the boys, and I didn't exactly want to stop. I opened the live stream on my phone while I was sitting back, waiting for something to happen, and then I just started watching it. I got kind of bored, I turned it off, I just decided I'd check Twitter once in a while to see what was happening in the live stream. I don't regret it, I'll be honest. What exactly happened then? Well, they announced a goddamn 2D Sonic game! Finally, after however many years has it been since Mania, 2017, Jesus Christ, that was a while back. We're finally getting a new 2D Sonic game, and we're excited. I'm excited. Most 2D Sonic fans are excited. Some people are, of course, a little skeptical. I'm going to talk about that in a bit, but yeah, today I just kind of want to talk to you guys about this new announcement and what we can expect and what can we be excited about here. So without further ado, let's look at the official website. And here we are. This is the place. We got the trailer back at Summer Games Fest. I'm just gonna open it right here, but I'm gonna mute it just so we can talk about it. And yeah, it's a pretty neat trailer. I'll be honest, when I opened Twitter and I saw this trailer, for a second I thought it was just gonna be a Sonic 2 remake of some sort, kind of like that fan-made one that was in the works and then I believe it was cancelled. But nah, it's a brand new 2D Sonic game and spawning a brand new 3D 2.5D art style that, I mean, generally speaking, looks pretty neat. As someone who enjoyed Mega Man 11, as well as other retro franchise revivals like these, I'm very much a fan of not sticking necessarily to that original sprite-based aesthetic. There are different cases, different situations, and for this game, I don't think it's at all a bad idea. I wouldn't mind a beautiful 2D sprite art based game like we got with Mania again. Part of me kind of wishes for that actually, but I can see the value in both styles in this case. And that is a pretty cool, bold move by Sega, keeping the classic 2D designs of the characters, but still doing a modernized HD style visuals for this new game. And that couldn't be more exciting, I think. But let's talk about the game itself. As we can see at different points in the trailer, we got to see Fang the Sniper, the character from, I believe he first showed up in Sonic Triple Trouble, though he also appeared in Sonic Fighters and Mania as a boss. You know, a bit of a, deep cut if you're not much of a Sonic fan, but definitely a welcome inclusion for people who like these kinds of niche characters. He is a pretty cool character design, and he's, I believe, hidden right there. Oh, I missed it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. There you go. Right there. There he is. Look at my boy. Look at him go. Or him look at Sonic mischievously. Anyway, does he show up later in the trailer? I'm not quite sure. I don't. Oh yeah, he's right here. He's right there, just laughing. And yeah, we're bringing back Fang. Isn't that cool? So that, to me at least, informs that they're, they care about the franchise's history to at least an extent where they're willing to bring back these kinds of niche characters for new games, and I think that's pretty cool. Gives me Mania vibes in the way they also brought back Fang in that game, and that's pretty cool. So generally, cool stuff all around. The physics themselves, because I know that's a huge talking point when it comes to 2D Sonic discussion, or Sonic discussion in general. some analysis already came out. People who played the demo already spoke out and said that they feel pretty much genuine to the original 2D games, so pretty similar to Mania, and we get to see that in a few different points in the gameplay and the trailer. Also, rail grinding, which is pretty freaking cool, hell yeah. And yeah, it does seem to be just a new 2D Sonic game with a 3D look, which is pretty cool if you ask me. But then this raises some questions. Because, number one, who's developing this? Because if you guys remember, who developed Mania was the Christian Whitehead crew, Head Cannon and Pagoda West Games and all that crew. You know, those guys, they developed it as more of a passion project thing. Christian Whitehead himself, he was a fan game developer, and way back in the day, he pitched Sonic CD ports to Sega for mobile, and it ended up being released, and then he kind of got ties with Sega, and then that eventually led to the creation of Mania. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know that already. But then, after that, we were all like, okay, so what's next? So we were all kind of expecting Mania 2, but this isn't exactly Mania 2, and I don't believe that team necessarily has the resources to do a 3D HD game like this. Maybe they do, I'm not trying to underestimate them here, but it, at the very least, isn't their style as we've seen before. And right after the trailer released and as the demos were being played and stuff, we got a bit of info on that. At first, we kind of thought it was Sonic Team that was involved directly, but that would have been kind of weird because they're still working on the Frontiers DLC, and Frontiers just came out last year, so what's going on here? Well, who is actually developing this is none other than freaking Artist. Now, you might not be familiar with these guys, but they're actually the people who developed, and they also helped out with the development of, so yeah, not exactly the best track record. Here's the thing, here's why they're the ones developing this. Naoto Oshima, the original Sonic character designer, he also helped out with the level designs and a few other things regarding the original 2D classic Sonic games. He is the head of Artist. He pretty much runs the studio. So it would only make sense that since they decided to bring the man back for this game, that they would just hire the whole studio, and that's what's happening. What the hell? What can we even expect here? Well, what we can expect is potentially a pretty good game, actually, because it turns out it is looking pretty good, despite all of that. Christian Whitehead himself, I believe, let me see if I can find that, actually. I'll check that DM later. Christian Whitehead, here, there you are, my man. He posted about the new game, and he gave it a thumbs up. Basically, people were talking about the physics and how they're pretty much one-to-one with the originals, and Whitehead just kind of gave it a thumbs up, like, yeah, he approves. And when he posted this, I kind of assumed, oh, maybe he's involved somehow, maybe he's working behind the scenes, maybe they hired specifically him to work on this game, but apparently not, because if we look at this article right here, this is by the Video Game Chronicle, also known as VGC, not to be confused with the Pokemon format. There were plans to work with Whitehead on whatever was coming out after Mania, which ended up being this. But those plans apparently fell through, and I'm not exactly sure of what that's supposed to mean, personally. I like to believe that, you know, hopefully relations are still a-okay between Sega and Whitehead, because I genuinely want to see him work on more official Sonic stuff. Maybe that's just not the case anymore, and I guess we have to live with Oshima, which is also not at all that bad, considering the positive reaction the game's been receiving. However, I do have a few concerns. If we go back to the trailer, back in the official website right here, something initially pretty exciting that they revealed is 4-player multiplayer, right? Is it right here? Yep, there you go. 4-player multiplayer with original playable character Amy. She's also going to be playable in the new Sonic Origins Plus collection, so yeah, this is kind of like a cross-promotion sort of thing, I believe. Anyway, 4-player multiplayer. And don't get me wrong, I love 4-player multiplayer. I'm pretty excited about this as much as the next guy. But this could turn out not the best, not gonna lie. Because here's the thing. What platformers do we have that exist that have this kind of 4-player multiplayer dynamic? First one that comes to mind is New Super Mario Brothers to me, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and all its bajillion identical sequels. And those games are fire. Those games are really fun to play with friends. They're kind of repetitive, but they're really, really fun, especially Wii. Wii is my personal favorite. I played that one growing up. That game is chaotic. And we also have stuff like the Kirby games, the console ones, like Return to Dreamland and Star Allies, they both have 4-player multiplayer as well. And especially in the case of Star Allies, we can see how the level design was basically sort of made simpler to accommodate 4-player multiplayer. And I'm afraid this might be the case in this new game, because 2D Sonic is a very fast-paced, very arcadey kind of game. And we did sort of get 2-player multiplayer back in the originals with both the battle mode and the kind of secret-ish plug in the second controller while Tails is on screen so you can play as Tails as well. And that second one in particular never worked the best because Sonic would just rush through the stage and the camera would always focus on Sonic. So Tails would just pretty much be left behind all the time. He would always it's basically just a little brother mode, right? You let your little bro play and he would only kind of be able to mess around and help out with the bosses, but he wouldn't really be able to play all that much. And I'm concerned because how the hell are they gonna address this in such a fast-paced game? How are they gonna keep the level design engaging, the movement fast and fluid, and still accommodate for 4-player multiplayer? How are they gonna do that, right? So I'm kind of concerned about that because 4-player multiplayer is just a very 2010s Nintendo thing. It's a very, oh, let's do this game for the whole family and stuff. And nothing wrong with games for the whole family. I love my Wii Sports. But it's just a little worrying if you ask me. How are they gonna accommodate? Is the level design gonna be any different? Is it 4-player? Either the multiplayer is gonna be not fun, or the single player is gonna be compromised, and I don't know which one it's gonna be. Hopefully, it's the multiplayer is not gonna be fun, because honestly, I don't have that many friends to play 2D Sonic with. Hopefully both of them should be fun, but you never know, right? Maybe you won't be fun. Who knows? Who am I to say, right? And there's even evidence supporting the idea that the single player will be compromised. Because if you look back at this exact same trailer right here, a little bit, yeah, there you go. We got this retro zone, apparently that's what it's called.
Whoa, so retro, am I right?
Anyway, it looks pretty cool. And there's this gimmick right here where you go through this portal and you turn into octopi. Is it really just a me thing if I say this doesn't exactly look like a 2D Sonic gimmick to me? Or am I wrong? Because, to me, at the very least, this looks like it could break the pace a bit. This feels like this gimmick specifically, it was made with the 4-player in mind, as like, oh, the 4-player is gonna go through this portal and they're gonna mess around as these octopus-looking thingies. If that's the plan, then sure, but then what about the single player? You're gonna be running around and boom, you're gonna go through this portal and just gonna mash the dash button, because it does look like there's a dash button, so you can like twirl around, right? Here, yeah, you twirl and you dash up. As single player, just gonna rush through that. This might look like nitpicking, and I hope it's not. And I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong here. That's the thing, because all this that I'm saying, this comes from a place of love. Not gonna lie, I'm really excited about this game, so I'm just looking for things to say and looking for things to talk about here. Because generally speaking, this game looks awesome. The visual style looks beautiful, though I have to say it doesn't look very triple A. You can kind of see the unpolishedness of it a little bit, and that is to be expected. It's not even technically a AAA game. It's going for $60, which officially speaking isn't exactly AAA price anymore, since that's been spiked up to $70. That's also the same price as Sonic Frontiers, which is a fully 3D game with the open zones and stuff. And not to say 2D games are inherently not as valuable as 3D ones, that's not true. But from the looks of it, the lighting is really good. The art design is very beautiful, and at least in this portion of the trailer, the animation is really clean. This first frame is an amazing first impression, right? Because you get to see Sonic moving around, and it's all HD and stuff, and it's so well animated. It looks genuinely beautiful. But then if you start looking into the details, and the geometry, and the textures in the ground right here, that scene with the huge fish right, and this one right here, you can kind of see how it doesn't really connect with the thing he's destroying in the background. It's more like it just it hits and then it activates the destruction animation. Am I right? It just doesn't look very seamless, and I guess that's just because this game probably doesn't have the highest of budgets, and that's completely fine, I think. For the most part, that's okay, because that's not what we would expect. But should that really be 60 bones, though? I mean, as long as it's at least as long as, you know, a little bit longer than Sonic 2, maybe, you know, at least as long as Mania. Absolutely, this is gonna have a lot of replay value, especially if it is as good as Mania or Tree. If this is able to achieve that, then sure, 60 bones is gonna be worth it, and either way I'm gonna buy it, so who cares? But just speaking from a, you know, value standpoint, just kind of wondering, like, how much did they invest in this game? How much did it really cost? Is it really worth 60 bucks, or are they trying to take advantage of the fact that we're gonna buy it anyway? But the question still remains if it's gonna be as good as Mania or Tree. I'm very much hoping so. This needs to be a Sonic 5 or Sonic 6, depending on how you count it. If you count 4 as a game that exists, then Mania is 5. This should be a direct evolution of Mania, if you ask me. Please don't do it like Advanced or Sonic 4 especially, where like, yeah, this is kind of like the 2D games, but there's something that feels missing, or something that feels like a step back. My hope here is that this feels like an evolution to what Mania was trying to do, and that it also should acknowledge that Mania is a game that existed and is technically the prequel to it. And before we end it off, guys, I just wanted to talk about this little dude right here. Okay, so this is brand spanking new news. This is flaming hot news. This has just been officially announced a few hours ago as of recording. We got an IGN interview that was right here before it switched to Whitehead's tweet, right here. Okay, so IGN did an interview with Izuka-san, where they talked a little bit more about the game, mostly stuff we already covered in this talk right here. And including that, they also talked about, I believe his name is Trip. Yep. They also talked about Trip. He actually showed up in a few of the demo gameplays that people recorded off of Summer Game Fest. People were playing it, and he was able to be seen, and they finally name-dropped him in that interview. And he's supposed to be kind of like a villain, I believe. He's helping out Fang, who himself is helping out Dr. Eggman on whatever nefarious evil scheme that's been going on. And why do I want to talk about him? Well, when they announced the game, one of the biggest sort of like headline information thingies they gave us was the fact that this game was going to include a new character designed by Naoto Oshima himself. And that was before we saw Trip. So the clear assumption to make is that this character is Trip, right? Well, I guess, but it's not been confirmed necessarily that that was referring to this character. Might be, might not be. And why am I questioning this? Well, because in the title screen right here, we can see that Tails is very suspiciously placed asymmetrically on the title screen, giving us just a bit more space so we could possibly see, let me mute this, possibly see a new character right in this spot right here. So could this be Trip? Could Trip be playable? Well, I don't know, because he's supposed to be a bad guy, and you see Tails kind of like looks a little bit to the left there. Maybe he's, you know, looking at whatever the new character is, right? That's the current fan theory that's been going around, right? So yeah, could Trip be our new playable character? Assuming there's an extra playable character and they're just not messing with us. Because, you know, this is just kind of a fan theory. You know, looks like an empty slot. Could possibly be an empty slot. Could also possibly be not. I've played Mario Maker 2. I was there when people were speculating that the empty slot on the game mode menu indicated a new possible game mode, and that ended up being nothing. Maybe this is nothing as well. Or maybe Trip is playable. Or maybe there's a new character designed by Oshima-san that we haven't seen yet. How exciting could that be? Because here's the thing. Trip doesn't if you ask me, him, they, she, I don't know, they don't particularly look like a playable Sonic character in the typical sort of sense. Because he looks like a metallic little guy, right? Maybe this is a mask of some sort. It's kind of looks like a bucket. Maybe he'll take it off. That could be pretty cool. Maybe there's a story reveal later on. He takes it off and he actually looks like what you would expect a Sonic character to be. Yeah, he even has those sort of like organic looking arms, the Sonic-y looking arms. So maybe eventually he will take off this bucket and reveal a usual anthropomorphic animal sort of character who's also playable, perhaps. I don't know, because as he looks right now, at least to me, he doesn't particularly look like your typical playable Sonic character, because especially when it comes to the 2D games, they've always looked more like, you know, an animal equivalent. They look like some sort of animal. Sonic is a hedgehog, Amy is also a hedgehog, Tails fox, Knuckles the echidna, right? So what the hell even is Trip? Is he a robot? Is he hiding his identity? I'm using he. I shouldn't be using he. I'm not sure of what their gender is. Who cares? I mean, I care, but whatever. So yeah, there's no real way to be sure. Guess we just gotta wait and find out. But there's definitely some exciting things to look forward to. Well, everyone, that's it from me today. I hope y'all are as excited about Sonic Superstars as I am, if not more, because I do have a few criticisms or a few concerns, as you've guys seen. Let me know what you guys think about the game in the comments, and if you also share these same concerns I'm having right now, or if you see them in a different light. Let's share our opinions and discuss, because this game is definitely looking very hype. It could possibly be the best 2D Sonic game ever. It could also be the worst. Guess we'll have to wait and see. Bye, everyone.